Have you ever noticed that the more our world develops and improves, the less time there is for the most important things, such as kindness, positivity, and of course, good deeds? People become secretive and suspicious, and if it will be continued further, soon we simply will not be able to trust each other and count on even elementary support. That is why it is very important to keep kindness and unselfishly do good deeds whenever circumstances require it. Most of the time, we only remember the bad deeds and somehow we forget the good ones. So today, I want to make you happy with a good story about responsive people who could not go past someone else's grief. Often people have a negative attitude towards policemen, and sometimes even with a certain amount of hate. In fact, the work of a police officer is very difficult both physically and mentally. It was an ordinary day. Police officers Antonio and Giuseppe went out for their shift at the Florence police headquarters in Italy. They had no idea that they were the ones who would soon become famous throughout the country and even beyond its borders. Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story. That day, the department was quiet and there were almost no calls, but towards lunchtime, they received a rather strange call for help. Seemingly, what could surprise the experienced law enforcement officers? But the call was really unusual and at first even somewhat confused the police. Indeed, it was the first time they had to work with such a call. The voice on the other side of the line said, "Hello, I know I may have called the wrong place, but I just do not know where else to call. Can you help me? I'm very hungry and I haven't eaten in days." This was heard by the policeman on the phone, after which Antonio looked at Giuseppe and they were both quite surprised at such a request because for them this call was the strangest they had heard in their years of service. But a policeman's job is precisely to help anyone in need. Nobody knows what most policemen would have done, but all Antonio said was, "Accepted, please tell me your address." 10 minutes later, the uniformed men arrived at the specified location and knocked on the door. The front door was old and untidy. All this suggested that the apartment was not a place for rich people. A few seconds later, their suspicions were confirmed. The door was opened by a skinny, elderly woman of 87. "Hello, my name is Louise Bruno," she said in an uncertain and quiet voice. "My arm is very painful after the injury and I want to eat, but I can't make anything myself. I don't even know where to go, so I decided to call the police," said the lady with a tired voice and hardly holding back her tears at such a strange request. What she heard shocked the partners. They looked at each other and decided to act. Upon entering the old lady's apartment, Giuseppe looked in the old refrigerator and found a certain amount of food. As it turned out, it was not enough to cook a proper dinner. It was decided that Antonio would run to a nearby store and buy some groceries, while Giuseppe managed in the old lady's kitchen. Upon Antonio's return from the grocery store, the policemen began to cook a simple meal for the lady with the food they had bought with their own money. The men asked the woman why she lived alone and why no one cared about her, considering the old woman's age. She told the policeman her somewhat sad story. "I never thought I would be in this situation. I'm very uncomfortable and even a little bit ashamed. My caregiver was supposed to take care of me, but he did not come for a few days. I thought I could handle it myself, but when I started cooking, I realized that because of the severe pain in my hand, I would not be able to do anything," said the elderly resident of Florence. The woman also said she had a son, but he did not live very close. She decided that she would not call him and try to deal with everything herself. Unfortunately, nothing good came of this endeavor. The good-natured policeman listened to the woman at the same time cook dinner. Half an hour later, everything was prepared. Delicious tomato ravioli, a soft salad, and warm tea awaited the lady on the table. The partners realized that the woman could not do the housework herself and that she needed help in the future, so they contacted her son and told him about the situation. The old woman's son turned out to be kind, caring, and understanding, and he quickly responded to their call, but because he lived on the other side of Italy, it took him some time to get to his mother. And while the relative got to the old woman, our heroes decided not to leave her in the lurch, and the next morning they visited her again, making the old woman a delicious breakfast before work at the station. Of course, they could have simply ignored the old woman's problems because they don't have to deal with such things, but as the heroes themselves later said, we all will be old someday, and we hope to God that we will be treated in the same way. The second day, around lunchtime, the son came to his mother to take care of her. He was so surprised and touched by the actions of the police officers that he did not even believe that two cops could come to a stranger's house like that, buy food from their own money and cook lunch, and the next day stop by before work and make her breakfast. To put it mildly, he was shocked. He could not leave it alone and went to the department where Antonio and Giuseppe worked to personally thank them. The world is not without good people. I wish that everyone who has the opportunity to do something good, even if it's not for their own benefit, would do it without hesitation. This statement was made later by the lady's son to local journalists. He published this story on Facebook, and just a few days later it went viral. People, after discovering what the Florence police officers had done, expressed their appreciation and respect for them. In response, our heroes made several comments. Every police officer gets into unconventional situations, but not every action is written about by journalists. I think that my partner and I did not act heroically, but just humanly. That's what Antonio told. As it turned out, the men in uniform who helped the senior lady have been working at the police for a long time. During the period of service, they have shown themselves as responsible officers and are also respected among colleagues. Now, in this difficult time for all of us, in times of political disputes, epidemics, and economic hardship, we as police officers must not only work responsibly, but also help citizens who need support and assistance. At that moment, my partner and I were only thinking about helping the elderly woman, not about popularity or appreciation, Giuseppe said. This moment of kindness from the police surprised the public and reminded them that, after all, there are a lot of good people in the world and doing good deeds is not hard at all. Sometimes it's just a simple thing to cook a meal. Also, considering Louise's age and the fact that she hadn't eaten for days, they could have just saved her life, one of the medics wrote in the comments. The officers were later commended by the city's police chiefs for their excellent work and for being kind and open-minded people in spite of it all. Such a simple story shows that being a hero is not difficult. Sometimes you just need to care about other people's problems, and even the most basic and simple things we can do can change the life of another person for the better. Friends, tell us, what would you have done if you were these policemen? That's all for today. Bye. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone who may find it interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.